Welcome to the Two Geeks and a Microphone podcast, your one-stop shop for television, movie, video games, comic books, book reviews, and more. Now, without further ado, here's Steven and Mike.
Welcome, everybody, to a fantastic new episode of Two Geeks and a Microphone. Pretty excited today. Hello, everybody. My name is Stephen Boster. I am your co-host here with you, along with Mr. Michael Shanks. Mike, say hey to everybody.
Good morning to all you geeks out there in Geekdom Land.
And we have another co-host with us today. Very excited, very excited. Mike, please introduce our co-host, our returning co-host.
The one, the only, my beautiful daughter, Megan.
Hello.
Hey, Megan. Welcome. Great to have you back.
I'm excited to be back. I like doing this.
So today we are doing a fun episode, I think, for all of us because we are fans of the series and we are excited to talk about, Mike, what are we talking about today? We are talking about...
We came, we saw, we kicked its... Yeah, Ghostbusters!
Oh, we all went and saw Ghostbusters Afterlife. And we had talked about doing an episode on this. We said, yeah, we should do one because, you know, we've been doing TV and movie reviews and stuff like that. And
we have to do Ghostbusters. Are you kidding? We
have to do Ghostbusters because you guys are big fans of Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters is awesome. I have been a fan of Ghostbusters since I was So the original came out in 1984. So I would have been about 13 when the original came out. Yeah. When we went and seen this, we went and seen it Thanksgiving evening because every year we have we pick a movie to go see on Thanksgiving evening after we've had our turkey and after this year I watched the Cowboys lose to my Virgin. It was a good game though. They did tie it up and take it into overtime, and I was super excited, on the edge of my seat the entire fourth quarter. But then ultimately they lost, so stinking Raiders.
So
anyway,
you were sad, and you needed a good pick-me-up to go to the movie. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. But I mean, that is our Thanksgiving tradition. We go to a movie every year. When I saw Ghostbusters come out, Ghostbusters was actually released the weekend before, and I was super excited. Normally, we would go to it on opening weekend, and then you and I would review it the next day. But I'm like, no. Ghostbusters has to be saved for our Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we saw it
Sunday. We saw it Sunday before, right? That's opening weekend. So when we saw it that evening,
right?
I think it was.
And Megan, what? Go ahead.
I can't remember when we saw it. When did we see it?
One of the penguins slid off the iceberg.
Wah, wah. All right. Anyway, keep going on. I'm sorry, but we saw it.
So Megan has been a fan of Ghostbusters since she was a wee little one. I introduced her to Ghostbusters. I don't even know how old you were when I introduced you to it.
I don't know either.
But although I think after watching this, she kept bringing it up that she doesn't think she's seen the second one.
I don't.
That's probably because the second one I don't think is as good as the first.
I don't even think you own the second one.
Well, I know I don't own them either one digitally.
No. Otherwise, we would have watched it last night.
Yeah, we would have definitely watched. Well, last night we had to watch Christmas Vacation.
Yeah.
So, because that's another tradition for Megan and I. Brenda not so much because she doesn't like National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, and that is my all-time favorite Christmas movie. But Megan and I always kick off our Christmas season by watching Christmas Vacation. So we did that last night. Yeah, if I would have had it digitally, we might have waited to watch Christmas Vacation tonight and watched the original Ghostbusters again last night. But it's all good. It's all good.
Right. Well, from what I understand, though, I mean, this movie, to watch this was going to be a tall order compared to your favorite movie, which was the last one, right? With all the female Ghostbusters, right?
Oh, there's a little tension there.
All right, that's enough said. I won't say anything else.
One of us is a fan of that, and one of us probably will never be a fan of that.
What? Oh, family dynamics. I love it. But we're not here to talk about that movie. We're here to talk about Afterlife.
That's right.
Afterlife.
Gosh darn it.
Okay. So real quick, we will go through, give our review. We'll figure out, Mike, I guess I'll let you decide how many out of what's that we'll do.
How about
this?
How about we give it Ghost Traps?
Ghost Traps. Okay. So out of 5 Ghost Traps.
I mean, what's more iconic with Ghostbusters than a ghost trap, right?
Yes.
Well, of course, there are a lot of iconic things with Ghostbusters, but come on, the ghost trap. So I think we have to go with the ghost trap.
I love it. And ghost traps are very instrumental in this film, the whole concept. So, okay, so who wants to go first? Who wants to give their rating first? And a real quick synopsis or whatever of why they say that without going to too much detail yet. Anybody? Ladies first. Megan, would you like to go? Go ahead.
Well, walking out of the theater, I said 99 out of 10.
99. Well, now we give it scale 1 to 5. One being the worst movie you've ever seen, and 5
would have been the worst movie we'd ever seen.
Well, okay. And then 5 being just awesome.
That's where it's difficult. Because I want to stick with I want to say 4.9 because I am dead set on it not being perfect because of one thing.
Okay. Don't tell the one thing yet. We'll get into that. So you're giving it 4.9.
Yes.
Okay. That's funny because we normally go halves, but
I know.
That's okay. That's all right. I get it. You don't want to say it's a perfect film. I totally get that. I got a couple of little gripes. They're small. They're nothing big. But
4.5 was also too low for it.
Okay.
I like it.
That's reasonable.
Okay.
That's reasonable. I will actually give it 4.5 ghost traps. I really, really enjoyed the movie. I like the introductions of the new characters. I thought the kids were great. I love the fact that we have the main kid from Stranger Things who dressed up as a Ghostbuster in Stranger Things, and now he's a Ghostbuster. I think that's awesome. I love it.
That's cool. I didn't realize that. That's cool.
Yeah. We love Stranger Things. It's a fantastic series, especially if you grew up in the 80s. There's so much cool 80s.
References.
Yeah. And Ghostbusters was one of those things that they brought up. So
in the very first episode, wasn't it?
Not the very first episode, I don't think. I don't know.
I watched the first season. I just didn't remember.
I think it was the first.
I watched the first season too.
Well, then maybe it was the first episode. I thought it was the first episode of the second season. But regardless. Yeah, I like the kids a lot. I think they were fun. I think they make good not mentors, students to possibly become the new Ghostbusters. I liked Paul Rudd. I thought he was fantastic in the movie. The mom was great. Really enjoyed her. Loved the surprise stuff that was in it. We'll get into that later. Yep. Very good. And I love the fact that we got the originals. Awesome. So
right. So Spoiler alert.
You don't want to? Do you want me to give the alert now?
Now it's too late now.
What do you mean it's
He
too
has
late?
to.
Oh, I have to give the alert. We have a special alert for this one.
That's right. All right. Well, let me do mine here real quick.
Give yours.
Let me do mine. I give it 4.75 out of 5. I know. Yeah. Well, we're getting into decimals now. Isn't that funny?
Kidding.
After this one. So here's the deal. It was a great movie. It was really good. It was a great parallel to the first film, which I thought was very is appropriate. I really do. I think it was appropriate. It helped you with some of the lore and stuff that you already knew, going into it. They didn't have to recreate anything. The acting was fun. It was good. I agree with you. Paul Rudd, the mom, they did great. The kids were fantastic. It was a lot of fun. It flowed well. I think it paid tribute tremendously well in a couple of ways that we'll get into. Not only to the original story, but the original characters. And it was, you could follow along with it, and it was emotional. You had some great emotional moments in it.
Dude, I almost teared up.
I did
tear up. Wow. Like, oh my goodness. Yep. And it was respectful of the original, which I think that was a big deal for me. Where I believe that I didn't think the last movie was as respectful of the stories, but that's my opinion. This film is a worthy sequel, reboot, successor, whatever it is, to the Ghostbusters franchise. It really is. And thank you so much for telling me to stay for the very, very end of the film.
Oh, well, you told me that there was. You told me that there was mid-credit and end-credit scenes. I didn't know that. Yeah.
So how did I know?
You saw the movie first.
Yeah, you saw it before we did.
I did see the movie first, and I did tell you.
Because I'll tell you what, dude, we watched the movie, and just as the credits started rolling, several people in the theater we saw it in, they got up and started leaving, and we're like,
a majority stayed for the mid one.
Yeah, but there was a good portion that got up and left.
But
and
then
I'm like,
us and another couple were the only ones that stayed for the
final
one,
which was great, which was awesome.
In ours, a third of everybody left before the mid credits. Then everybody except us left at the
wow, and they missed a great scene too.
So we'll talk about that, everybody. We'll get into that because it's worth staying for. So if you're hearing this and you haven't seen it yet, you need to stay for the mid and the end credit scene.
Right. All right. So are we getting into spoilerific territory now?
Let's do this, by golly.
All right. So spoilerific territory, I will give the special spoiler alert.
Oh, I'm so excited. There it goes. I was waiting for the.
I like that spoiler alert. We might have to switch to that one
as our new spoiler alert.
Yeah, I mean, I love Star Wars and all, and I love the Death Star.
For our Star Wars episodes, we'll do the Star Wars. Yeah, for everything else, we'll do the Ghostbusters.
Yeah, it sounds like I think that's what we might do. So before we get started, though, I got a couple notes. I took some notes.
You took notes.
Believe it or not, I actually did a little bit of research. So,
yes.
So one of the fun things about this movie is it actually corrects a couple mistakes from the original movie, which I think is great. I think is hilarious, and all the mistakes all revolve around Dan Aykroyd, who is Ray Stantz, okay? Who, Ray is the one who, well, in this movie, we find out has an occult bookshop called Ray's Occults, which actually was introduced in the original films. He actually did have, in the original films, he had a bookstore too. So that's not new. That is something that happens. But my thinking is, if Ray is so up on the occult and all these different references, in the first movie, he wasn't as smart as he thought he was.
Right.
So the first mistake is the Bible verse. And
the citation.
Yeah, the citation of the Bible verse. Now he recites it correctly, but as we know that he actually got the verse wrong.
Right.
As we would say in children's church, he got the address wrong. So,
that.
And I got a clip from the original. So let's listen to the original clip.
Hey, Ray, do you believe in God?
Never met him.
Yeah, well, I do. And I love Jesus' style, you know.
This roof cap is made of a magnesium tungsten alloy.
What are you so involved with that?
These are the blueprints for the structural ironwork in Dana Barrett's apartment building, and they're very, very strange.
Hey, Ray, do you remember something in the Bible about the last days when the dead would rise from the grave?
I remember Revelation 7:12. And I looked as he opened the sixth seal, and behold, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became as black as sackcloth, and the moon became as blood.
And the seas boiled, and the skies fell.
Judgment Day.
Judgment Day.
Every ancient religion has its own myth about the end of the world.
Myth? Ray, has it ever occurred to you that maybe the reason we've been so busy lately is because the dead have been rising from the grave?
How about a little music?
I have to say, when Winston says, "I love Jesus' style," I get chills, man. I love that. Anyway, so Ray says that it's Revelation 7:12, and we find out in the film, in the new film, Ray actually has it tattooed on his forearm, which I think is awesome, by the way. But he has it correct on his forearm. It's actually Revelation 6:12, which I thought was so funny. Okay, so that was a great way for them to correct the original film. I like that.
That now, just to be nerdy here, or geeky, or however we want to say.
No. Wait a minute. I got called out this week by another podcast. They refer to themselves as nerds, and I told them, I says, we think the term nerd is derogatory. We prefer the word geek.
Geeky. So let me just dig into detail. So what's funny is, in both movies, they still call it in the Book of Revelations, and they pluralize it.
Megan, that's
I
one of
pointed that out.
That's one of my pet peeves, isn't it, Megan?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Stephen. Sorry.
No, it's actually singular.
Yes.
That's the funny thing. Everyone loves to plural it, and actually, it's the Book of Revelation.
Right.
And
it is the revelation of John, is what it is.
Nope.
Or,
that's how the King James Version did it. But actually, within the Greek, the first four words are the revelation of Jesus Christ.
okay.
The apocalypse is well, anyway, so I don't want to get too nerdy.
Wow, I just got Sunday schooled by Stephen. Well,
but in all fairness, though, the reason that the King James Version did it as the revelation of John, or John the Revelator, kind of a thing, is because he is considered the author. So they say by. But yeah, your first four words of the whole book is the revelation singular of Jesus Christ, and so it's fascinating. He's telling the whole story of the things at the end. So anyway, I'm not going to geek out on that right now, but I'm just saying, it's a funny how a lot of people say, the Book of Revelations.
Well, Megan can tell you that's actually a pet peeve of mine. Mm-hmm. Because if you guys have been listening to the podcast, you guys know that I've said it before. I've been teaching children's ministry for 18, 19 years, something like that. And anytime I would teach on Revelation, I would always tell the kids, okay, it's Revelation, not Revelations, because you're always going to get it. But okay, yeah, that's enough nerdiness on that, I guess.
Well, and it doesn't say the seas boil in that location, in that citation.
Yeah, it's not exactly correct, but
they're pretty close.
For a movie, I'd say it's.
Oh, it's it's not meant to be theological. It's meant to be fun.
Right, exactly. I think it gets the point across.
It's the end of the world.
Right. It's an apocalypse.
Marshmallow Man would be part of the apocalypse.
Well, now that plays into the next correction. So the next correction, there is a scene in a new film where we see all these years. When you first see it, you don't realize it's years. You just
until they say so. Right. They're down. They're down in the new temple, for lack of a better term, inside the mountain, and there's all these numbers that are on the wall up above.
Right.
It's also in the house.
Yes, it was also in
the numbers on the wall. It's in
Egon's house.
Egon's house.
Yep,
I missed that.
Yep, there were 2 references to it. But
okay.
But if you look at the numbers, initially looking at the numbers, it just looks like a bunch of random numbers.
It does. I didn't know what it was until they said something in the film.
Actually, the numbers are a list of apocalypses. Okay?
Ooh.
Right. So, before I list out the apocalypses, let me play the scene from the original one where Ray, where he messes up again.
Okay.
All right. Let's see. That was... Okay, there we go.
Who are you guys?
We're the Ghostbusters.
Who does your taxes?
You know, Mr. Tully, you are a most fortunate individual.
I know.
You have been a participant in the biggest interdimensional cross-rip since the Tunguska blast of 1909.
Okay. So there he tells Louis Tully that he was part of the biggest transdimensional cross rip. Boy, there's a word salad of words there. Since 1909.
Yes. He said 1909.
Right. This is where the mistake is. So, going through the dates, the years in the numbers, what we thought were random numbers at first. The first one was 1883, and that was the eruption of I'm not going to pronounce this right. So Correcta, and it was the year of the eruption of the Correcta volcano, which is an actual event. It really happened.
Okay.
Then the one that Ray was referring to, and he said it was 1909. It's actually 1908. Oh. And it was the Tunguska event. That date was on the walls of the temple and in the farmhouse, as Megan stated. 1908, the year of the Tunguska event, took place. This was a massive explosion that occurred near the Pokemon. Tunguska River in I have no clue of how to pronounce these. Somewhere in Russia. Okay. But it happened in June of 1908, and Ray said 1909.
Oh, okay. So did they fix it in the new film again?
Yeah, in the new film, the dates are correct. The year is 1909. Okay. But that 1909 is referring to the exact same thing that he referred to Lewis in the original one. So
what's kind of funny is, they made a point to fix that for the new movie.
Oh, I love it.
People like you are like, you messed up.
But I didn't know until I watched the new movie. So I had no idea. I guess I didn't dive deep enough into Ghostbusters. So
I'm not necessarily diving deep enough into Ghostbusters, you never dived into the apocalypse thing.
Yeah, right. So then the next event in here.
Nice save, Megan. Nice save.
That's my girl. Anyway, the next event is 1945, and that's World War II, and they actually even talked about World War II briefly in the film. Excuse me. Then the next event is 1984, the Manhattan Cross Rip, which would be the events of Ghostbusters and the rising of Gozer. And then the last date was 2021, which would be Gozer's return in the new film. So,
okay.
So yeah, I'm sorry, what, Megan?
I still think there was another number after it.
Yeah, I couldn't find a picture after you and I discussed that last night. I wanted to find a picture and I couldn't find one.
Because I thought I saw another 2-1, and then I couldn't tell the other numbers, but I swear there was another 2-1.
I don't know. So you're saying they're predicting the sequel,
I guess.
Which could be.
Oh, okay.
So those are the things that they fixed in the new film that were incorrect in the original film, and I think that is just so much fun. I think
that's just fun detail. They were having fun with it.
Oh yeah,
yeah, we'll fix it and stuff like that. Excuse me. Yeah. So.
Oh
yeah, that was good.
And to get into just a little bit more, really geeky, nerdy stuff. The Ectomobile, which is like one of the most iconic.
Here's something I found on the web.
Oh,
According
gosh.
to 1234movies.com.
Sorry.
Was released on December 17th.
Alexa's going off, right?
Stop.
Oh my gosh! I changed it from computer to Echo. Try not to say it too loud. So she wouldn't interrupt, because every time I'd say computer, she'd interrupt and say something. And here she goes again. Whatever. I guess she must have thought I said
the vehicle
instead of
the vehicle name.
Right.
Ecto.
Anyway, so it is one of the most iconic cars of the 80s, which is also one of my favorite movie cars, by the way. But the fun thing about it is that Dan Aykroyd contributed in writing the original film. And they said that Dan's notes in the original film were so specific that he stated in the script that the car had to be a 1959 Cadillac ambulance / hearse.
Oh.
How freaking awesome is that?
Right?
I mean, Dan Aykroyd already had it in his head what the Ecto was supposed to look like.
Be.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And how more fitting is a hearse?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, in 1959, that style car was meant as either a ambulance or hearse, which is why he had it ambulance / hearse. Plus, he's a bit of a gearhead. He loves cars, so for him to specifically, and he specifically pointed out, because you got the fins on the back end of the car, which those fins were intended to make the cars look like they fly. That is the point of it, So that's one of the reasons he wanted this thing. And then the other fun thing about Dan Aykroyd and the car, there's a great documentary on YouTube. I forget what it's called, but if you just search for Ecto 1 documentary, and I'm sure you'll find it.
Okay.
But they refurbished the car. They refurbished the car, and they brought Dan Aykroyd in after they finished it. And you could just see the look on his face. He's like, "Oh my gosh, this is beautiful. You guys did fantastic." And they said that this is where Dan Aykroyd is very similar to George Lucas, in my opinion. And no, I don't have the rhyming thing for this. Anyway, they said that Dan Aykroyd has a backstory to every single item in the car. So every little gadget you see, he's got a backstory to. And
Very cool.
I find that intriguing. I love it. I'm like, wow, the imagination of this guy is just fantastic. So that's just one more reason that Dan Aykroyd is so freaking cool.
Right.
Anyway, okay, that's my geeky details about the film.
Well, there is rhyme in this because it does parallel the first Ghostbusters film.
You just want me to say it, don't you?
I do.
It's like poetry. It rhymes.
There you go. I'm drinking to that one.
All right, we are 30 minutes in, and we really haven't even talked about the movie yet.
Oh, yeah, we talked about some of the good. Wow, we got our scores and stuff. Are we really 30 minutes in already?
Yeah, we're 30 minutes in. Wow.
Holy moly. This is great. Okay. So, favorite parts of the film. Let's just go there with that route.
Well,
favorite parts of the film.
Well,
or should we go with the stuff we don't? We have questions about the film. What you guys want to do?
We'll go favorites. Go ahead.
All right.
Megan.
Favorite parts. We'll give you a chance to think. Do you need a chance to think? Think about it, because I know there's a lot of stuff in there.
Just trying to figure out. It's not like one scene in particular.
Oh, sure.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Mine's not one scene either.
It's.
Go ahead.
I'd say my favorite would probably be Phoebe interacting with. Why brain? Her grandfather.
Egon.
Yeah. I don't know why I cannot say his name.
Are you talking about when she finds the
chess game, the starting of the chess game.
Oh, I love the chess.
As soon as they focused on the chessboard, I was like, is she going to play chess with a ghost? And sure enough, and not even just any ghost, but her grandfather.
But it's Egon.
And then when she finds his lair, for lack of words,
sure.
With the whole him like showing her everything with the light,
him leading her, leading her to it.
So just everything, every interaction she had with his ghost, I thought that was fantastic.
Yep. My favorite part coincides with that. It's at the end where you see his hand come and next to her and holding the gun, the proton pack.
Yep.
I lost it.
I immediately tears.
I did. I was just like, that's great. It's a family and they're hugging and we're being respectful to Harold Ramis. And it was just a great moment. It really was. And I think they handled the whole thing with Harold Ramis very, very well. It was very respectful.
So good.
It was tasteful. It was honoring him, his contribution.
Did you know that he and Bill Murray actually did have a falling out? It was after, which movie was it? I can't think of the movie they did together, but they had a falling out after Ghostbusters, and they actually did not talk to each other until I think a couple years before he passed away, and then they finally reconnected. And I'm like, wow, I'm glad that they got to reconnect before he passed away. That was cool. And then you kind of got that moment in the movie too. I mean, it wasn't before he passed away in the movie, but they still, because they talk about Egon just kind of leaving everybody, and everyone was ticked off at him. They were upset, so it did kind of parallel real world in some ways, I won't do the George Lucas thing. I think that's a little disrespectful here.
Right. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah.
Good call. Yeah, it was great. Even the animation, the computer animation they did to bring him in was just...
It looked fantastic.
Oh, looked great. It looked incredible.
Oh, good.
It was like he was right there.
It's like he was right there.
And then when we got the scene of the 4 Ghostbusters together. It was like mind blowing. And yeah, I teared up.
My second favorite scene. I did not know that was coming. To be honest, I didn't even. I was just like, okay, we'll get Harold Ramis. We'll get the Dan Aykroyd phone call to the shop. Okay, that's cool.
Well,
I was taken by surprise when they came in.
I expected the originals to show up. I knew it was going to happen, and I knew it was going to happen towards the end. But I didn't know we would get the scene with Egon in it, with him side by side with the other 3.
We didn't know that we were going to get all 4 of them.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't even realize Ernie Hudson was going to be in it. I was so glad.
He was awesome. He was so good. Yeah. And I loved it when he was talking about each one's role. Egon was the smart one, and blah blah blah.
Right.
And the guy goes, "Oh yeah, well, what did you bring to the team?" I was the sex appeal. I loved it. I was the sexy one. I loved it. That was great. Almost a Lando Calrissian moment there.
Right. It was great. It was really good.
All he needed to do is go, Colt 45 works every time.
So those were my favorite moments. Those two, with Egon, all of a sudden you get to see the visual representation in ghost form as him. I thought the way it was directed and done was great because he didn't have to say anything. But how they did the facial expressions told you everything. I mean, I'm just tearing up starting to think.
I am too, man. Dang. Yeah, they did. If we're tearing up just talking about it, they did a good job.
Absolutely,
they did a good job. And I mean, the fact that this is a Ivan Reitman film, and it was directed by Jason Reitman, his son. And yeah, it's just this whole thing was a love letter to both Ivan Reitman and Harold Ramis. It really was.
Yep. And for the fans.
Oh yeah,
really,
of course.
For the fans. Yeah. So that, and when all 4 were together, just as you said, when the other 3 show up, and then it's all 4 and they're all together working together, it was great. It really was really good.
A couple of my other favorite scenes.
Yes.
The Twinkie. Because the Twinkie is such a great scene in the original film. By kinetic activity, if this Twinkie represented kinetic activity in the city of New York, by my estimations, this Twinkie would be 45 feet long and, I don't know, 8 feet high or something like that.
That's a big Twinkie.
Yeah, Winston goes, "That's one big Twinkie."
Yeah, there's some great Easter eggs. I would love to see someone do like all the Easter eggs in it. But go ahead.
Oh gosh, so I love the Twinkie, and then we also get the candy bar moment. The Crunch Bar. That was great. So that takes us back to the original film when the 3 are talking and they're still discussing whether they're going to do this or not and how they're going to do it and everything. And Venkman looks at Egon and goes, "You've earned it," and hands him a Crunch Bar. So in Egon's costume, or his Ghostbuster suit,
uniform,
Phoebe, his granddaughter, she finds in the pocket a half-eaten Crunch Bar. Now, that's one old Crunch Bar, I gotta say. Still in the wrapper. So great moment. Absolutely love that. Like I said, of course I love the moments with him in it. Those were fantastic. Phoebe was awesome, and we found out that Phoebe actually is from Young Sheldon.
Oh, she's been on a lot.
Right. But she played a part in Young Sheldon. Young Sheldon meets a girl who's basically a match for him, as far as intelligence-wise, And then she kind of her parents get a divorce, and then she kind of becomes a little bit.
Goes on a rebellious.
Yeah, she
spree.
becomes rebellious. But Phoebe's actually that character from Young Sheldon, which I had no idea in the film. She doesn't look like her at all. They did a great job.
Well, she doesn't look like herself, like the actress.
Yeah,
at
yeah.
all. They completely changed everything.
That's true. If I saw her on the street, I don't think I'd be able to pick her up.
Recognize her.
No.
Interesting.
She's got like really long blonde hair, and yeah, she just looks completely different from her character's portrayal of Phoebe. But it's still phenomenal, and the casting was still perfect.
Oh, so good. So good.
Oh, it really was.
And I love Podcast. He was hilarious.
Yeah, I thought about you when I saw that. I was like, oh, that's going to be Mike.
When he told his name, I went, yeah, I identify with that kid.
Yeah. I loved how the kid said, yeah, we really got in our stride with episode 46,
Right.
And then Dan Aykroyd goes, oh, you're blah, blah, blah. It's like, you really came to your stride at episode 46.
I loved it. That was so good. So good. Yeah. And then the fact that Dan Aykroyd listens, or Ray actually listens to his podcast, I absolutely love. It's like, that's hilarious.
Yep.
You got a Ghostbuster listening to your podcast. I wish we could say that.
Right?
If any Ghostbusters are listening to the podcast, leave us a message on Facebook.
Thanks.
Heck, if you've cosplayed as a Ghostbuster, leave us a message on Facebook.
Right.
I'll take that.
Right on.
Anyway,
do you worth seeing in the theater?
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
I still want to go see it again.
Right.
There's actually part of me, and we might just have to do this. Maybe if it's still playing near Christmas, I don't know. There's part of me that, well, by then it wouldn't be playing in their big theater, though.
We didn't see it in the big theater.
No. Yeah, I know. But I'm talking about at the Lincoln.
Oh.
So when I saw the original Ghostbusters, I actually saw it at the Lincoln Theater in Belleville. Theater. Yeah. And, the Lincoln's still open. And I'm like, there's part of me, I'm not a big fan of the Lincoln Theater, especially nowadays. But there is part of me that wants to go see the new one in that theater just to, get that nostalgia. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should try to do it.
I still stand by. It's also fitting because that big room is creepy.
She's talking about the main theater at Lincoln Theater. Lincoln Theater
always creeped me out.
Well, just to give some perspective to the audience, the Lincoln Theater is a very, very old building in Belleville, Illinois. It actually was like kind of like an opera house or something way back when, like I guess in the 50s or something like that. So it's a super old building, and they even have an old time like organ.
Yeah, the organ.
Right, like you would see in churches, in old churches and stuff. They actually have one of those old organs there, which I guess they used originally. Back in the day, maybe for, I don't know, movies that didn't have sound. Who knows? I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Or
So,
if it was an opera
Well,
house,
if it
too.
well, that would be
yeah.
before the 50s then. So maybe that building's older than I'm thinking.
Right. Mm-hmm. But a lot of times they would have organs for silent films.
Right.
That's correct.
Right. So yeah, maybe the building's even older than I thought. So, and I'm sure there's some ghost stories to that building too.
Oh, I'm sure.
which just makes Ghostbusters that much more fun there. So
Right on. I wonder if you could host next year, talk to the owners and host a Ghostbusters Afterlife party on Halloween night.
Just Ghostbusters in general.
Yeah. Ghostbusters Marathon. Nah, just do the first one and this one. Just do the ones that matter.
yeah, the second one was
I can't comment because I've never seen it.
I think the second one I don't like as much because Bill Murray's just not in it enough. And I'm a huge Bill Murray fan, and I really think he made the first film. So I think that's why I'm not a big fan of the second one.
Really? I thought they all made the first one. I think the team camaraderie and the team atmosphere kind of a thing.
I agree, but once you lose Bill Murray, you
lose some of the team atmosphere kind of a thing.
And he's a comedic genius. He really is. The guy is fantastic. He's so funny.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. That's just my thoughts on the second one.
Oh, that's all right. That's okay. All right. Any other scenes that you really liked? Or maybe there's something you were like, I don't know about this. I think, Megan, you mentioned one thing that was in there that you kind of questioned.
Not
why
that
it wasn't
I questioned.
for you.
The reason I can't give it like a full perfect score because I wanted to see Slimer, and I was disappointed that he was not in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we got a new Ghost instead of Slimer.
Don't get me wrong, I like Muncher, but I wanted to at least see Slimer.
Mm-hmm.
That's because Slimer is so iconic to the Ghostbusters series.
He is.
He made an appearance in the second film. I know that. Did he make an appearance in the 2016 film?
I think so. I think I've only watched it once.
All right.
I've only watched it once too. That was enough. But yeah, I'm pretty sure he was in it as well. So, but I don't. You're right. He was not in this one. I think there was an anticipation of, what if we'll get to see Slimer? I think that would have been another nice throwback, like the Crunch Bar, like the Twinkie.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
The Ghost Trap, the Proton Packs.
The mini Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
The Stay Puft Marshmallow Mans.
They were adorable.
They were so much fun. I loved them.
They were adorable and vicious. I like how they were roasting one another, stabbing one another.
And completely happy about it.
And all the time with a happy face. That's freaky. That's your next horror film, Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
I'd so go see that.
I would too.
Attack of the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
Right?
Awesome. I so wanted.
They're making themselves a graham cracker or s'mores.
It was so funny. I loved it. They're barbecuing themselves and, gosh. So funny. Good stuff there. Good stuff.
It was.
Good stuff.
And I like how that led into the whole big dog, whatever, I can't, and then
Demon
Paul
dogs.
Rudd, then they bring back the Keymaster, the Keymaster and the.
Okay. Who brought the dog?
Right.
Boy, the superintendent's going to be pissed.
Right. Yeah. So, are you the Keymaster? Kind of a thing.
I'm the gatekeeper.
I'm the gatekeeper, right? I thought that was kind of interesting how they brought those back. That as well. I was like, okay, that makes sense. We're talking Gozer. Now, here's the part where I was like, this is PG-13, and it was on the edge because when Gozer comes back, and the architect is still alive. He's in the tube.
Oh, do you know who played him? That's J.K. Simmons.
Is that who that was?
That's who it was.
Oh, that's who you were talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So J.K. Simmons, who's played J. Jonah Jameson, and he's also played Commissioner Gordon.
Mm-hmm.
He was the architect.
He was the architect.
Yeah. They had him all made up and everything, and I couldn't tell it. But then after the movie, I read something. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's who that was. Wow. That's a big paycheck for such a small role too.
Right. I bet. Right. But I love it. And then all of a sudden he said, oh, we can rule the world together, my love. And then she just too. I'm like, whoa, we got a Mortal Kombat moment here. Holy cow.
Finish him.
Right. And I was like, ooh, that's a little for having kids, talking about kids in a movie and blah, 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 blah. We're moving into Stephen King territory, bringing in horrors with kids involved. I was like, dude. But I mean, it wasn't gory, but they did it real quick within half a second.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you bringing that up, that brings up another thing. One of my fears for this movie, being the big fan of Ghostbusters that I am, one of my fears going into this was from a lot of the trailers, I didn't see a lot of comedy aspect to this. I kept seeing a lot of the more darker side, and which I want with Ghostbusters, because Ghostbusters to me is a combination. It's like the perfect blending of comedy and not full out horror, but
horror-esque,
supernatural,
horror-esque enough to be slightly scary to a younger audience, to give a thrill to a younger audience.
Oh yeah, sure, okay.
Just enough horror for that. You know what I mean? I was afraid they were going to go a little too much on that side of it and too little on the comedy. And man, I laughed my butt off through this movie. I thought it was perfect. They did a great job of blending the two. So, yeah, my fears were unwarranted.
It was good. It was just well done. It was a good movie. It was very enjoyable.
You were going to say something, Megan?
I just said fantastic. Fantastic.
Yep. All right. So let me ask you guys this: mid-credit scene and end-credit scene.
Wow. Mid-credit scene was a
wait a minute. Do we need to do the spoiler alert thing again?
No, we already did it.
I know, I like it. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead. All right, mid-credit scene.
If you want to hear it that bad.
See, it makes me want to. It's like a joyride. You hear it, it brings back memories.
And then I love the little winding down.
Right. All right, mid-credit scene. What happens in mid-credit scene?
Go ahead, Megan. It's a podcast. You have to talk.
I know that, but why did I get suddenly put on the spotlight?
Right. Well, honestly, I'm starting to think, what was the mid-credit scene? What was the mid-credit scene?
The mid-credit was Bill Murray, and I can't think of who what her name is.
That's right.
Dad, help.
Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep.
It's a callback. Great. It's another callback to the original when Bill Murray. I never remember his Ghostbuster. Venkman. When Venkman was doing the cards, the memory, or not memory, but
ESP.
ESP test, and he was shocking all the guys.
Right.
And so it's now reversed, and now she's the one doing it to him and shocking him, even though he's getting them right.
So yeah, he's doing the ESP, quote unquote ESP test with students of the university that they're working on the campus of, and so he'll have a guy and then some cute girl, and the guy is actually getting all of the symbols right. Oh, what do you see here? Oh, I don't know. It's like a couple wavy lines, and sure enough, it is. And he's like, "No, you're wrong," and he shocks him. And then her, she'll be like, "Oh, it's a star. Oh, yeah, that's exactly. Can you see these things?" And then, and then he goes back to the guy, and the guy gets it right again, and he shocks him. And then the guy gets all upset about it. He's like, "We are paying you for this." "Yeah, well, you could keep the $5."
Right. Something like that. Yeah. I liked how in this one, how she turned the tables on him.
Right.
And he was getting them. He was getting them right.
Right. Well, yeah, but he also revealed why. Because she asked him, she goes, "Do you have these cards marked?"
Yeah.
And he says, yeah.
Right. Yep.
That's because he's nothing but a con artist.
So here's how it happened in the theater. They're going through all the people, here's the credits. They're going through all the people are in it. And then it said Sigourney Weaver. And I'm like,
right.
Dad had Sigourney Weaver.
That's what I said. And it was right after that they show the scene. because I had that same moment. I was like, wait a minute, Sigourney Weaver didn't make an appearance, and Brenda started to say yes, she did, and I'm like, no. And then all of a sudden the scene rolled, and I'm like, oh, well, there's Sigourney Weaver.
There she is. I love how they did that.
So we had all the main characters. Because we had Annie Potts. Annie Potts returned.
Mm-hmm.
But the only one we didn't get was
Rick Moranis.
Which I wished I know Rick has separated himself from Hollywood, and I get it. I totally get it. But I so wished that they could have said, "Hey, look, can you just come in and just make one quick little appearance and paid him a buttload of money for it, just to get him in there. And so that way we got every single, major person from the original Ghostbusters. That would have been so cool. But other than that, so.
Yeah.
Oh,
it was good. It was really good.
I didn't get into the reasons why I won't give it a perfect 5.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead. Yeah. And then we'll go back to the end credit scene.
So, my issues, again, small. So you got Phoebe, right? Phoebe, that's the granddaughter. Mm-hmm. So she finds the proton pack. She fixes the proton pack, which I don't have a problem with that. She's supposed to be this really, pretty much genius kid.
And she had help.
Yeah, and and her grandfather's helping her fix it, which I thought was an incredible scene. Loved it. So, I mean, I bought that. But what I didn't buy is it was almost like she instinctively knew you had to catch the ghost with the proton particle thing and then use the trap to suck it in. Well, it was almost like she instinctively knew this, both her and Podcast. So,
I think by then, by the time that they get to the point that they're trying to catch Muncher, they've both done research because they had found out, because before the Ecto-1 is restored by the kid from Stranger Things.
Yeah.
And the brother.
Which Egon helped do that too.
Yes, he did. As he was trying to start it. That's right.
Yeah.
Twisted the little wires to make the connection.
he fixed the wires.
Oh, I wanted him to have a Back to the Future moment there too. Because I was like, come on, just Back to the Future it when he couldn't start it. I wanted him to headbutt the steering wheel. But then again, headbutting that steering wheel, that probably really hurt.
Right.
But anyway, so neither Podcast nor Phoebe knew anything about the Ghostbusters
right.
Until Phoebe found
the commercial.
Well, no, she found the trap.
Oh, yeah.
And then she brought it to summer school, and Paul Rudd was like, "Oh my gosh, is that real?" And he's the one that explained, and then
that's right.
Both of them probably went home. Well, we know Phoebe went and found everything.
You're saying it's implied that they watched footage and that's how they knew it. Okay. Yeah. All right. I'll give you that, I guess. But then we're in the Ecto.
I have explanations for that too.
Okay. All right. That's fair. We're in the Ecto. And then we have the radio controlled trap, which was pretty darn cool, by the way. But it was almost like he instinctively also knew, which none of us knew, that there's a little trap door in the Ecto that the little radio controlled ghost trap, you send it out of it like that. It was like he just instinctively knew this, and that was the other thing that kind of bugged me. I was like, come on, how did you know this? How did you know it's there? So, all right, Megan, Smarty Pants, what's your answer for that one?
We saw him rummaging around in the back. You saw him looking around. So, I mean, like, he could have seen the trap. And I think they picked it up first. And then he found the controller for it.
Yeah.
And they didn't really know what to do with it.
Sure.
And he continued to rummage around. Also, It's a giant, like, metal-looking cage sort of thing. Why would that be in a hearse? And there had to be.
Why would any of
like,
this stuff be in a hearse?
Yes, but why would that? Why would you have like a section out? Like, because I would assume the rest of the floor at least looks somewhat normal, and then you have that space, that square, where it's that metal. So obviously it's something.
Okay.
And there was probably a lever. So I don't know if it was a lever or a button that got pressed or pulled to open it, but just playing around, you can find that. I mean, and they found they didn't instinctively know about the automatic door opening and the chair swinging out. They found that by accident.
Yeah. Now the gunner seat.
Yeah.
That's something I thought was cool, but I remember seeing it in the trailers going, well, there's no gunner seat in the original. What in the world is this all about? And
was
then,
there ever one in the cartoon?
That's what your mom said. Your mom was searching the internet last night, and she told me. I guess I never watched the cartoon series.
I never saw the cartoon either.
Okay. Steven, did you ever watch the cartoon series? Okay.
It was against my religion to watch Ghostbusters cartoons. I'm just kidding. It was not.
Dude, we went to the same church.
Honestly,
Well, at that time we weren't going to the same church. You hadn't moved here at that time, so
that's true, right?
I'll give you that. So
anyway, for the longest time, I didn't even know there was a cartoon.
Oh yeah. Well,
yeah, it wasn't bad.
That would have been quite a bit of time before you were born. So
yeah, but there's other shows and stuff that I know that was about before I was.
Oh, I got some great facts about the cartoon, but that was one of the things Brenda found in the cartoon. They actually introduced the gunner seat, which I didn't know. So
okay.
I guess technically it's canon to the Ghostbusters universe since it was actually in the cartoon. So
was the trap door and the remote control?
I don't think so, but I don't know 100%. Like I said, I didn't actually watch. I mean, I watched at the cartoon every now and then. I might catch an episode or something, but I didn't watch it religiously. It wasn't.
Did it have the original 4?
Yeah.
Okay.
It had the original 4 and it had Slimer in it too.
I know it had Slimer.
And I think Janine was in it. I can't remember for sure, but I think she was
too. Yeah.
The interesting thing about the cartoon, if you go back and look it up, it's actually entitled "The Real Ghost," The Real Ghostbusters. And they had to do that for marketing reasons because the Ghostbusters title was actually owned by another company. Because there was a TV series long before the Ghostbusters came out called Ghostbusters, and it was these guys and an ape. Don't ask me why there's an ape. I don't know because I never watched it. But after the movie was such a success, they actually introduced that cartoon, which was called the Ghostbusters, and they actually owned the rights to it. And I guess Sony, I don't know if Sony owned the Ghostbusters back then or...
It's Columbia Records.
Not Columbia Records.
Not Records, but it's Columbia.
Okay. I think they fought to get the rights to the name so they could use it for the cartoon, and they couldn't get it. They lost the suit. So, to get around it, they had to call it The Real Ghostbusters. So...
Interesting.
Yeah. So there's some facts about the cartoon. So did we get into your reasons why you said that it wasn't quite the perfect film?
No, but there's nothing. I gave it a 4.75, so that's pretty good. There's always something that
you're like it's close enough, huh?
It is close enough. I enjoyed it. All the stuff about the details about the seat and about the remote control and how it was a fun movie. I didn't care. I was having so much fun. I didn't care. I didn't need the details.
Look,
some people do, nerding out, Mr. Revelations. Revelation.
Oh, wait a minute. That was you're the one who brought that one up. Those fighting words there. Dang. So overall, it was a very, very good movie. I thought it was an excellent sequel.
I have to get to this because you mentioned sequel, and I've been dying to ask you this question.
Okay.
It involves the end credit scene. Talking about the end credit scene. If you want to talk about what it was or whatever, that's.
Oh yeah, we didn't get to the final end credit scene.
Right. But what is next? Based upon what you saw in the end credit scene, the final end credits, what do you think is next?
So
What's happening next? I really want to get your opinion on this.
So the final end credit scenes, we go back to Winston.
Well, first,
go ahead.
You go back in time.
Oh yeah. I forgot.
You get that little part that wasn't in the original.
Egon and Janine, which they kind of had a thing. Yeah, that was another thing.
Yeah.
That was another thing. Who in the heck is her mom? You know,
Yes.
I can't think of her name.
I cannot think of the mom's name either. The mom of
Phoebe.
Phoebe's mom. The daughter of Egon.
Right. Who's the mom?
Who's her mom?
Same thing. I always thought that.
Yeah, I thought after Ghostbusters that Egon and Janine got together. I thought they became a couple. I mean, that's just my head canon for for Ghostbusters that didn't happen on screen and stuff.
Right, but that's what you think happens. Yes.
Right. I would have imagined they would have gotten together, but they allude that they didn't. And
but this clip, Megan, you're right. It was where you're like, oh, with this clip, there must be
something
going on, because then she's got this coin and she gives him this coin.
Right. So they're getting ready to go into the battle with Gozer, and before they go, Janine stops Egon, and she's like, "Hey, this is really special to me. I want you to have it. It's my lucky coin, and I'm afraid that you
won't come back.
You won't come back." And then, of course, he's like, "I don't want to take this from you," and she's like, "Don't worry, I got another one."
Right.
Which is a great comedic moment. But that there was part of that scene wasn't shown. There's another piece to that scene actually. Ray walks up to him right after that moment, and Ray goes, "What's the matter with you, Janine? Didn't your mama tell you not to get involved with a Ghostbuster?"
Oh,
because Ray and Janine, they didn't like each other. I mean, not Ray, Venkman and Janine, they didn't like each other. Mm-hmm. So yeah, there was if you go on YouTube, you can see the full scene.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, they cut that off for the film because they didn't want, they wanted it to be very.
Well, because the very next thing goes into Janine flipping that coin,
playing with the coin.
Yeah.
Right.
In the present day of the movie.
Right. In the present day and stuff, and then she's in. What's his name? All of a sudden, Ernie Hudson's character.
Right.
She's in his office.
Winston.
And
then we find out Winston is very wealthy. He's been paying Ray's rent for Ray's occult shop, and he's been paying for the original Ghostbusters. Well, yeah, he'd been paying Egon's bills for the farm, and he'd also been paying for the original Ghostbuster firehouse. Because, and in fact, Ray, Megan and I talked about this too. Well, here, Megan, you tell your thing. Excuse me.
My what I was questioning about it.
Yeah.
So when the kids all get arrested, and Phoebe's like, "Well, don't I get a phone call?"
Which was great.
And she calls.
Wait. And then what does he say to her?
Yeah, he says, "Who are you going to call?"
Who are you going to call?
And mom was disappointed because no one in the theater laughed about it, but she did.
I did.
Well, I mean, besides us three.
I think she was expecting everyone to go, Ghostbusters!
Like
Yeah.
But anyway, Phoebe had previously written down the number from the commercials because she was looking up everything she could about them on YouTube. And so she chooses to call the Ghostbuster number for her phone call. And
I got to say, I love the fact that Ray has a bat phone.
That's right.
Go on.
So we find out that Ray is the one with the phone still, and that number is still in service because he answers it, and it's now the phone for the occult shop. So he answers it.
Well, but it's a red phone. That's
Yes.
why I said he's got a bat phone. So it's not it's not his regular number.
Wasn't it always red?
What do you mean?
Wasn't it red in the original film too?
I don't remember. I mean, Janine probably had a couple phones or something. I don't know.
But he also answers it with the occult shop name.
I don't remember. Did he?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
See, another reason to go watch it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
true,
saying.
true.
Anyway, go on.
Anyway, he's sitting there. They're going back and forth because she's bringing up Ghostbusters, and he's trying to get off the phone because he's like, "That's my past. I don't want to talk about it," and all this stuff. And one of the things he tells her is the firehouse gets mentioned somewhere. I don't know if she mentions it or if he was just mentioning it, but he makes the comment that, well, the firehouse is now a Starbucks.
Right.
In that kind of, I don't know, and then...
But we see with the scene with Winston, we actually see the firehouse.
And it looks...
It's just...
It's a Starbucks.
Right. It's just the firehouse, but run down. It's not a Starbucks. So she's questioning, did Ray just lie? Or does he really think that at some point it became a Starbucks? Now, the more I think about it, and I realize that Ray actually had the occult shop in the original series, which means it was in New York, I think he's lying. Because at first I was like, oh, well, he's probably nowhere near the original location of the Ghostbusters. And, you know, maybe he's been told by friends or something, oh, yeah, they turned that place into a Starbucks, you know. And, you know, thinking, you know, friends probably walk by and it's actually, the Starbucks is actually across the street or, you know, something like that to that extent. But then when I saw, oh, no, he had the Ray Occult's shop in the original in the original film. So I'm like, oh, because that means that puts that in New York City. So I think he was lying. I think he was just lying.
I do too. Because I think that Phoebe is not the first person to get that phone number from the Ghostbuster commercial online and call and talk about the Ghostbusters. I think it was something that happened, like the way that his demeanor in that phone call is very, I've went through this too many times, just leave me alone. So I really think it was a, like, oh, well, the firehouse is just a Starbucks now, so we can't even do anything, even if we wanted to.
Oh, from that point of view, saying, yeah, okay.
But not only is it not a Starbucks, but the containment unit is still there. So.
And it was red.
Yeah. Yeah.
The trap was not clean.
Yeah.
Yep. What's the phrase?
If the light is green, the trap is clean.
Yep.
That's my girl.
So it looks like Ray goes back in and looks like he's going to start fixing up the thing because he brings the car. He brings the Ecto.
Yep.
Not Ray.
In.
The other one.
Yeah, not Ray, but Winston.
What did I say? Winston? I'm sorry. Winston. Winston comes in. Thank you. Yep. So Winston comes in. I knew what was in my brain. Thanks for picking that up. Right on.
Not everybody else knows what's in your brain, though.
Yeah, that's the truth. Gosh. Yeah. So it brings in the car, and we're going to get you back up and running, which makes you think he's going to rebuild the whole thing. So what do you think is next?
I think we're going to see another one. I think Winston is going to start the Ghostbusters back up, and we will see the next generation. That's what I think.
So he'll be the mentor.
Yep.
He'll be the mentor to the new generation.
Yeah, I don't know if they will bring both Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd back or not. If it'll just be Winston. If it'll be Ernie Hudson, he'll be the only one.
I think if they do only have Winston, there'll probably be nods to like the other two helping out too, but maybe they don't have them actually in.
Right, like they come back in a cameo, just do a quick
that
cameo
too.
or something. And I think that would be fine, because I think this movie did a great job of having the originals, handing it off to the younger generation. That's what I wanted to see in Star Wars, and I didn't get it, honestly. I don't feel Star Wars did a good job at that at all. I think Ghostbusters did a great job at it, and I think it has the premise of a good continuation with the next generation. So, yes, that's where I think they're going.
And I still think Phoebe is an absolutely amazing next generation.
Egon.
She's the new Egon.
I loved her from the second she was on screen.
Cool. Something else. Brenda read that I have to give credit to her that the glasses that the girl wore were the actual glasses that Egon wore in the original film.
Oh, okay.
Well, she found
right,
but you're saying like the prop.
The ones that she actually wore, the
Gotcha.
frames were the same frames that
Gotcha.
Harold Ramis wore in the original film.
I was going to say, because they do have a moment.
Yeah, where
like
she
that
finds his glasses and they match.
She puts them on.
Right, they're identical to hers, and that's just showing that's her grandpa.
That's cool.
Also, I really liked her immediate, like as soon as she found out who her grandfather was, and like she had that bonding moment of fixing the blaster.
Oh yeah.
And the trap and everything. You could tell she had an instant connection with him, because when her mom was scolding her, even though she wanted her to get into trouble.
Yeah. I just wish she'd get into trouble. Well, she got into trouble. What more do you want?
Right. But the mom is scolding Phoebe and telling her how her grandfather was horrible for leaving them and all that, and that he was crazy. And she's like, he's not crazy. And she's like, I'm like him. Mm-hmm. And she has that connection, and I really liked that. I thought I almost cried there too.
Oh, that reminds me. So when Megan said that we and another couple, me and her mom and another couple were the only ones who stayed till the end credit scene. Mm-hmm. After we went out of the theater, I was talking about the whole who is the mother.
That same couple, yeah.
And the guy from that couple, he looks at me and he's like, yeah, he goes, personally, I think they learned well from George Lucas. And I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, that they left a mystery there. And I was like, okay, good point. He goes, now, George Lucas did screw up in answering some of those mysteries, but he goes, George Lucas was well known for leaving stuff open-ended so you can imagine, what it is. And I'm like, yeah, I get you. I mean, that's kind of cool, but there's part of me that is still, I'm like, I want to know who the heck her mom is. There's part of me that just bugs me. So, yeah. Oh, and that's another thing, Megan. We forgot to mention not only is Phoebe from Young Sheldon, but
so is Janine.
Janine is from Young Sheldon also.
Oh,
Janine plays Sheldon's Meemaw in Young Sheldon. So we had 2 Young Sheldon actors in Ghostbusters.
Hey.
Which is very fitting because Sheldon's a big Ghostbusters fan too. So,
do you think at least? Well, I guess he was in the original series too.
What?
A Ghostbuster fan, a huge Ghostbuster. I can't talk because the Meemaw is not the same.
Right.
It's 2 different people. In Big Bang Theory, and
yes.
Young Sheldon, it's 2 different people. So I was wondering if they focus more, because I haven't been watching Young Sheldon.
Well, Young Sheldon, I don't think at this point is a Ghostbusters fan because, well, I see know. It's fuzzy where the timeline is with Young Sheldon. I don't know if Young Sheldon would have seen Ghostbusters yet by this time, because I'm not sure what time, what year it is in the series at this point. I just know it's somewhere in the 80s, but. Sheldon, grown up in Big Bang Theory, is a Ghostbusters fan because he's pretty much a fan of anything geeky, and Ghostbusters falls way into line with that. So,
So they really need an episode of Young Sheldon that he watches Ghostbusters
and says,
falls in love with it.
That looks like my Meemaw.
Yeah, or something, or maybe she says a line from it. Or something like that, just alluding that she was in it.
I would love to hear her say, Ghostbusters, what do you want?
Right.
That's someone else I would like to, if they carry on, I would like Annie Potts to come back. So if we got just Winston and Annie Potts, I'd be good with that.
She's fantastic. I love her.
She's such a great actress. She is so much fun. So. All right.
Very good. Very good discussion, you guys. Woo! Very nice. Very nice. A great movie. It is worth seeing in the theater. It is paying. I think it's worth paying full price for.
I do too.
Absolutely.
Heck yeah.
Yep.
Let's just say, we walked out of the theater and I was like, we're owning that.
Right on. Okay. Yeah. That's all. We're buying it. All right, man. Well,
right.
I'm good, man. Whew. I'm tired after that discussion. Oh, goodness. All right. Well, I'm good. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us for this episode of 2 Geeks and a Microphone with our special guest, Megan. Thank you for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Megan. Thank you to Daddy's Pumpkin. All right. With that said, I'll do things slightly different today. Since we had the Ghostbusters, we will just say, who are you going to call?
Ghostbusters.
Thank you for joining us today on the 2 Geeks and a Microphone podcast. Tune in next week when we will have more news and reviews. Until then,